Something just blew up in Chicago, and I guarantee you're not going to believe what's going down with our team. A rookie wideout crossed the line against Green Bay, and now the NFL is making him pay. A star cornerback goes down right when we need him most, leaving a massive hole in our secondary. And a key receiver has all of Chicago holding its breath ahead of the biggest game of the season. 3 stories that could decide whether this season ends in glory or disaster. Stick around till the end, because what's coming is straight up explosive. And if you care about the future of the Bears, you better not miss a second. Smash that like button now and subscribe, because this Bears Nation family needs to stay tighter than ever. First story, Luther Burden, Tho, fined by the NFL. Look, I'm going to keep it real with y'all. What went down last Sunday at Lambeau between Luther Burden III and Casey and Nixon was exactly the kind of fire this rivalry lives on, but it was also the kind of mistake we just can't afford at this point in the season. And now the NFL is sending a loud and clear message to our rookie. Let me paint the full picture. Second quarter, Kyle Manangai just ripped off a run, and our rookie receiver, Luther Burden III, is right there, jawing at Carrington Valentine. That's part of the game. That's intensity. That's what makes this rivalry great. But then Casey and Nixon steps in to back up his teammate, gets in Burden's face, and that's when it all goes sideways. And what does Burden do? I'm asking you, what does this 22-year-old do in the heat of the moment? He puts his hand on Nixon's neck. On the neck, folks. I'm telling you right now. In the NFL, that's a hard no. That's crossing the line. That's giving the refs a reason to come down on you. But here's the wildest part. The refs. They threw the flag on Nixon. Nixon, not Burden, who clearly initiated the physical contact. Matt LaFleur was losing it on the sideline. And honestly, I don't blame him. If I'm the Packers coach and I see my cornerback standing up for a teammate and getting flagged while the other guy grabs his neck, I'd be losing my mind too. Now, the NFL reviewed the tape and finally got it right. They hit Burden with an $11,075 fine for unsportsmanlike conduct. Nixon, no fine, 0, because the league admitted the refs blew the call on the field. But here's what really worries me. It's not the fine. 11 grand is pocket change for an NFL player. What worries me is the mindset. I think Burden's got that fire, that edge we need on this team, but he also needs control. He's got to know when that fire fuels you and when it burns you. I love the intensity. I love when our guys play with passion, especially against the Packers. But let me ask you, what good is all that passion if it costs you 15 yards at a critical moment? What good is it if you hand the other team an advantage? Burden finished that game with 67 receiving yards on 4 catches. He led the team in receiving that day. The kid's got talent. He's got skills. He's got that X factor we're looking for. But Nixon got the last laugh. He picked off the final pass and sent us home with an L. And now here's the kicker. We face Green Bay again this Saturday. You think Nixon and Burden forgot what happened? You think there won't be tension when they line up across from each other again? I'm telling you right now, that matchup is going to be fire. One of the most intense one-on-ones of the game. But here's the deal. Ben Johnson needs to sit Burden down this week and draw the line. There's a difference between playing with fire and losing your cool. There's a difference between backing up your teammates and giving the other team free yards with dumb penalties. And you know what else ticks me off? That the refs got it wrong in the moment, that they had to wait until after the game to fix it. But those 15 yards they gave Green Bay, we're not getting those back. That momentum we handed them, that's gone. I believe Burden's going to learn from this. I believe this kid's got the right mindset to become a great player in this league. But he's got to understand, come December, when every game counts, when every yard matters, you can't afford to lose your head. Let me ask you, would you rather have a receiver who plays with fire but knows how to control it, or one who's so intense he costs you big games? Because that's the difference between being a good player and being a great one in this league. Second story, Kyler Gordon to injured reserve. If that surprised you, wait till you hear this, because what just happened to our secondary is a straight-up gut punch to our playoff hopes. Ian Rappaport just dropped the bomb. Kyler Gordon is headed to injured reserve for 4 weeks with a groin injury. 4 weeks. Right when every game is basically a must-win. We lose one of our most important cornerbacks. Let me break down why this is such a big deal. We're sitting at 9-4, holding the 7th seed in the NFC, and our schedule is brutal. We've got Cleveland this Sunday, which should be a win on paper. But then it's the Packers again, the Lions and the Niners. 4 games that'll decide whether we make the playoffs as a real threat or end up watching from the couch. And now we've got to play those 4 games without Gordon, without a corner who, when healthy, is a key piece of our defense. I'm telling you, this is not what we needed right now. What really frustrates me about Gordon's situation is that he just can't stay healthy. This is his 2nd trip to IR this season. The 2nd time he's left a gaping hole in our secondary when we needed him most. Look at Gordon's stats this year. In 3 games, he's got 7 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovery. 3 games. That's it. How are we supposed to build a consistent defense when one of our starting corners is only available for 3 games? I think Gordon's got the talent. Over his 45 career games with the Bears, he's racked up 214 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 5 fumble recoveries, 5 picks, and 17 passes defended. That shows he can make an impact when he's on the field. But I ask you, what good is all that talent if you can't count on him? The hope, according to Rappaport, is that Gordon could be back for the playoffs. But that's a big if. First, we got to get to the playoffs. And now we've got to do it without him for the next 4 most important games of the season. Now it's not all doom and gloom. CJ Gardner-Johnson has been a straight-up revelation in the slot since we signed him to fill in for Gordon. He's brought energy, experience, and that edge you need in the secondary. But is that enough? I'm asking you, is it enough to have Gardner-Johnson balling out when we're losing Gordon on the outside? Because now we've got to reshuffle the whole secondary. We've got to tweak our defensive schemes. We've got to ask other guys to step up at the worst possible time. And here's the cold truth. Our next opponents are going to go after that weakness. Shedeur Sanders this Sunday, Jordan Love next week, Jared Goff after that. These quarterbacks are going to test our secondary. They're going to go right at the spot where Gordon would have been, and they're going to try to exploit it all game long. I think Matt Eberflus and RDC need to get creative. They've got to disguise coverages, bring more pressure, keep opposing QBs uncomfortable, because if we just line up and play straight, we're going to get picked apart. And here's what really stings. Gordon's only 25. He should be in his prime. He should be locking down receivers and becoming one of the league's top young corners. Instead, he's constantly battling injuries that keep him from finding that rhythm and consistency you need to be elite. So I ask you, at what point do we start wondering if Gordon is really that long-term piece we thought he'd be when we drafted him? The talent's there, but availability is the most important ability in the NFL. Look at what happened with the Packers last Sunday. Casey and Nixon made the game-sealing pick on the final play. Nixon, a corner who's been healthy all year, who's built chemistry with his secondary, who's in rhythm. That's what we need from Gordon. But we can't get it if he's always on the shelf. Now we've got to trust our depth chart. We've got to believe the guys stepping in for Gordon can hang with some of the best wideouts in the league. Because believe me, the Packers are going to line up Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs against whoever's filling Gordon's shoes. And they're going to test that matchup all game long. I'm telling you, these next 4 games are going to reveal a lot about this team. They're going to show if we've got the depth to compete when things get tough. They're going to show if our coaches can adjust and put our guys in position to succeed despite the injuries. Third story, Rome Odunze, questionable for Cleveland. And just when you thought we were done, let's talk about the news that's got all of Chicago holding its breath. Rome Odunze is questionable for Sunday's game against Cleveland. Odunze missed last week's game against the Packers with a foot injury. He was limited in Friday's practice and is officially listed as questionable. But according to Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, the Bears are optimistic he'll suit up. Now let me explain why this is huge for us. Rome Odunze leads the team with 44 catches for 661 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's Caleb Williams' most reliable target right now. He's the guy making plays when we need them most. And you know what else? Ben Johnson has made it clear. He wants Caleb Williams to find his rhythm early in games. Johnson wants Williams peaking before the playoffs hit. And how do you do that? You give him his weapons. You give him Rome Odunze. If Odunze plays Sunday, Johnson's going to scheme up ways to get him involved early. Quick routes, easy completions, stuff that gets Williams in a groove without forcing anything. Because that's the key. Williams needs confidence. He needs to feel the game. He needs to get into that flow that makes him special. But here's the catch. Sunday's weather is going to be brutal. We're talking around 10 degrees Fahrenheit with wind chills near -10. That's Chicago December football. Baby, that's the real deal. So what does that mean for the game plan? I'm asking you, how do you throw the ball when it's so cold the football feels like a brick? How do you expect your receivers to make sharp cuts when the field might be frozen? The obvious answer is, you run the damn ball, and we can run the ball. Before week 14, we had a 5-game win streak where our ground game was dominant. We ran for 281 yards against the defending Super Bowl champs, the Eagles, on Black Friday. We've shown that when we want to impose our will on the ground, we can do it. But here's the tension. Yes, we need to run. Yes, the weather favors the run game. But we also need Caleb Williams to be involved. We need him to feel like part of the plan. We need him to build that confidence he's going to need when we face tougher teams in the coming weeks. And that's where Rome Odunze becomes so important. If he's healthy, if he can go, he gives Williams a reliable target, a safety valve when protection breaks down, a third down option when we need to keep drives alive. I'm telling you, Cleveland's secondary is banged up. They've got injuries in the defensive backfield. If Johnson's smart, and I think he is, he's going to find those favourable matchups and scheme plays that let Williams attack without putting too much on his shoulders. But what if Odunze can't go? What if that foot isn't ready and we're without our top receiver? Then the game plan shifts. Then we lean heavy on the run and ask Williams to manage the game instead of win it. And look, there's nothing wrong with that in a game like this. Cleveland is 3-10. They're the weakest team left on our schedule. This is the kind of game we should win even without Odunze. But let me ask you, do we just want to win, or do we want to win in a way that sets us up for what's coming? Because after Cleveland, it's the Packers again, then the Lions, then the Niners. Those teams aren't going to let us win just by running the ball. They're going to stack the box, force us to throw, and dare Williams to beat them with his arm. So yeah, we can beat Cleveland without Odunze, but I think we need him to play. We need Williams and Odunze to build that connection. We need to see that chemistry develop before the games get even tougher. And here's the other thing. Odunze's a rookie. This is his first year in the league. Every snap he misses is experience he's not getting. Every game he sits out is a missed opportunity to grow, to learn, to become the player we know he can be. I think the Bears are going to be cautious. They'll make sure Odunze is truly ready before putting him out there. The last thing we want is him playing at 70%, getting hurt worse, and being out for the rest of the season. That would be a disaster. But if he's good to go, I'm putting him out there. I'm giving him his chances. I'm designing plays that set him up for success without putting him at risk. Because the upside of having Odunze on the field is way bigger than the risk of playing without him. Let me ask you, would you rather play it safe, win ugly against Cleveland, and head into Packers week without Williams finding his rhythm? Or would you rather use this game as a chance to build, to develop that QBWR connection that's gonna be crucial in January? I know my answer. I want to see Odunze on the field. I want to see Williams slinging it to him. I want to see this offense find its full identity before the games turn into do or die. So there you have it, Bears Nation. 3 stories shaping our week and maybe our whole season. Luther Burden III, learning an expensive lesson about emotional control. You think he's going to grow from this or keep being a discipline issue? Kyler Gordon out for 4 weeks right when we need him most. Can our secondary survive this brutal stretch without him? And Rome Odunze, questionable, but trending up for Sunday. Should Johnson risk it or play it safe and lean on the run? Drop your takes in the comments. I want to hear what you think about each of these situations. Because this isn't just my platform, it's our community. This is Bears Nation United, debating, supporting, and riding with our team together. If you think Burden's going to come out more disciplined, hit that like. If you think Gordon's injury could cost us a playoff spot, subscribe. If you believe Odunze has to play Sunday, let me know in the comments. Because at the end of the day, we're family, we're Bears Nation, and we're going to ride through this together, no matter what comes. This team has given us hope this year. They've given us some wild moments, and I believe we've still got a lot more to give. So join the family. Subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, because I've got more news, more analysis, more exclusive content coming your way about our Chicago Bears, and you don't want to miss a thing. Bear down, family. I'll catch you in the next video.